A to the K.
To the K.
To the K.
Hello, welcome to the A to the K Wrestling Show, where today we're going to take a look behind the glam as we have the pleasure of being joined by AEW hair and makeup artist Dani Dinino. Dani, thanks so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. So firstly, if we could, I'd like to just sort of dive right in and sort of talk about how you what made you decide to sort of get into the hair and makeup side of things, especially in terms of, as I understand it, to be stage makeup more so than, correct me if I'm wrong there, but I imagine it's quite similar to that sort of style.
Yeah, well, so as far as like being in wrestling, doing hair and makeup, I've only been doing that since I started with AEW. So are you asking like how I got into the wrestling side or just the makeup side?
Well, generally sort of how your sort of career started and how it sort of evolved into the wrestling side, if you could.
Okay, yeah. So I always wanted to do hair. So being here I live in Vegas and so I started in a salon doing like cuts, colors, all that normal stuff. And then I actually started at another salon where they started putting me on bridal parties, getting brides ready, where we had to do
Imagine
makeup.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was scary. It was very scary working with brides, especially when I wasn't really trained in makeup. So everything in makeup wise has been self-taught and then learned along the way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's been really fun. But yeah, I was doing hair and makeup and then I started just freelancing here in Las Vegas, doing styling and makeup. And then that's how I got into the wrestling. Was Brandy Rhodes actually reached out to me just on Instagram and just DM'd me to work an event, which at the time, like I didn't know wrestling at the time. So I had no idea who she was and what the event even was. I thought it was just girls going to something. I didn't even really know what I was doing until I got there.
Right.
So I show up and I think that these girls are just going to an event at the MGM. And then like I find out that they are the event. And so it's super crazy. And yeah, that's how I got started. And then the event went great and everything. And she told me that they were starting a show in the fall and she offered me a spot on the makeup team. And I've been with them ever since.
Wow, that's insane. I mean, firstly, like I can't believe that, the makeup side of things was self-taught. Like that's insane. But I mean, obviously, because of obviously how good you are. But I suppose so initially when you kind of just found out, okay, there's this wrestling side of thing, what was the reaction of like your friends and family when like they found out like, okay, you're going to be working in the wrestling business and the crazy world of pro wrestling?
So the responses have been very different on both sides because like I said, like the girls that I work with are kind of who I told first. And none of us knew anything about wrestling. So they were all like, some of them kind of, I don't think we like understood how big of a deal it was. So it was kind of like, oh, cool, you're doing wrestling. And then, once the show started being on TV and everything, and then like, it's, commercials are popping up. There's ads on the strip that you could see. And it's like, oh, hey, that's my show. And, people start to realize like, oh my gosh, like that's huge, and then to see it on cable TV and all that. It's been different reactions from the beginning. Some people kind of laughed at it, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then now those people are like, oh my gosh, my friend's on that. So
that's awesome.
It's funny, like if you're not in the world, you don't understand it because I didn't get it either. But then, I go to the shows now and it's amazing to see like the fans are amazing. And just to see how big the crowds are and how into it people are. And it's such a culture. And it's really cool to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. So obviously you mentioned that you didn't really know wrestling beforehand. Is it something you've started watching now just out of intrigue of like, obviously because you're involved in the backstage side of it? Or?
Well, I mean, so I'm at the show every week. So I'll like, especially now that I've got a definite interest in it now because I've got to know a lot of them.
Yeah.
So I'll like pop out and watch them and stuff. But like beyond our show, no, I don't really watch anything. It's only AEW.
Of course.
But, I gotta support our guys.
Yeah.
But I've learned stuff just from being there, and it is definitely interesting. But I'm very aware of the fact that I don't know as much as I should.
Oh no,
but
it's
I'm
one
learning.
of those things. I mean, being around there and seeing it and stuff like that, you probably absorb even more than you probably realize. But I suppose the way we first got introduced to you actually was you've been responsible for some absolutely iconic looks in the work that you've done with AEW, and I think it was at Full Gear when we saw the Ty Conti, like the Brazilian war paint stuff. I think that was the first time. Yeah. That's the first time I saw it. I think I messaged on the AEW Glam on Instagram, and I was just like, this is awesome. Do you know what I mean? So can you talk us through what your process is to actually create, designs, especially ones that become so symbolic, and how involved are the wrestlers as well?
Yeah, the wrestlers usually are very involved. They kind of all, for the most part, and I feel like especially with pay-per-view looks, they will like pre-plan out, and have an idea of like they want to do something big for pay-per-views. So, of course, a lot of time and effort goes into that because they usually have to get their gear and everything too. So they'll usually give us a heads up and say, like, this is, whatever look I'm going for. And sometimes it depends. Like Ty had that look already. She knew what she wanted.
Oh,
so
cool.
We kind of were like, okay. And so with the makeup, she knew she wanted that. And so she came with an inspo photo. And so we kind of just tweaked it a little bit to her colors that she wanted. And then as far as like the hair goes, she was kind of like, I want this kind of look, but you kind of do what you think will look cool with it too. So some people definitely come in with like, they want this certain look, but will give me kind of like, put your twist on it. But yeah, so a lot of them are very involved in what they want. Sometimes other looks, like Jade knew she was going to do the Mortal Kombat look. I think it was 2 pay-per-views ago. And she knew she wanted that. And I went, oh my gosh. And she was doing everything green at the time. And I was like, girl, I just saw this look. And she's all about the money. And I was like, I just saw this look. We've got to do it on you. And she was like, cool, just you do your thing. Like, fine, you got the makeup look. I'll take care of the rest. And nice. So it just is give and take on some looks. Sometimes they definitely have an idea, or sometimes they'll be like, I want to look like a warrior, or, I want you to go with my Mortal Kombat look. So it's definitely like person to person.
Yeah. So looking at someone like Darby Allin, for instance, who he sort of has a particular look, but then there's so many different sort of variations and adaptations to that look. Like, is that one of them where you have that sort of creative freedom, and how is it trying to sort of come up with the obviously that style, but that sort of unique variation?
Yeah. So luckily for me, Darby and our style is very similar, to where I feel like luckily my sort of like kind of sloppy perfected look is kind of his same style, grungy stuff, which I love to do that. So I feel like it's easy for me to do his stuff because I like that same style. Yeah. But his also, it has been like, it just depends on the look. He, especially for the pay-per-views, will come to me with a photo, but then he always wants to like mix stuff together. But then also because I have done his so many times, I feel like he will be like, yeah, but I trust you. Like, you can do what you want, but I like this. So if you could do something like that. I feel like he loved the tree look that we initially did. The very first one, I don't know if you guys saw it. It's got like the three. He like loves that look. So he always wants to incorporate trees into stuff if we can. So we do a lot of that. And then, sometimes he'll even take looks that I've done on him and bring it back to me and be like, hey, I want you to do this, but turn it into Sting's face, which we've done that a few times. Yeah. And nice. So he'll give me free range, but I mean, a lot of them do have a general idea of what they want. Yeah. But they're willing to listen if I'm like, oh, I have a really good idea for this.
Oh, that's good. It's nice to know that obviously that they put so much trust in you as well. And it's nice to see that you can kind of start to build up those relationships and bonds with over time. It's kind of like, oh yeah, you do your thing. Like that's obviously must feel like kind of really reassuring. But you kind of mentioned Sting then a second ago, and obviously another iconic look, which I think you've been kind of responsible for, was when we had kind of Darby Allin, Sting, and CM Punk all kind of with twists on all their kind of face paint and makeup and stuff. Like, can you tell us how that all kind of came about? Whose idea was that?
Okay, you guys are gonna die. That one was okay. Those guys literally came into me like 30 minutes before they were going out on stage.
What?
And because Sting always does his own paint, which Sting is the only wrestler that going into working this job, he's the only wrestler who I knew about. So when he's come for paint, I, especially in the beginning, would get very like, that one made me nervous. That's the only one that I've been like super nervous to do. But that match, and that's the thing with Sting, I feel like it's like, because he usually does do his own looks, it's always very like, I've done him a few times and it's been very last minute of like, hey, you know what? If Dani has time, let me jump in the chair and we'll have her do this. But he's kind of the type that like, if not, he's like, well, I'll just do it myself. So they came in, and I think honestly it was like maybe an hour before the match, and he was like, hey, I want this. And he brought me in like he had like a drawing. It was like a printout of the fist and the lightning bolts. Yeah. And he's like, I want this, and I want you to put it on my forehead. And I was kind of like I was like, are you sure? That's very like literal. Like, and he was just like, yeah, that's what I want. And I'm like, I was so nervous on that one. And he is very, very particular about his looks. So I've learned with him, like, let me hand him the mirror and like have him like check it as I'm going. And like, cause he, you know, when you do yourself that often, it's, you know, they get very used to how they like their stuff. And I get that. So on that one, that was like, I literally like cut it out and put it on it, taped it to his face first so he could see where I was going to do it, and like had him okay. And then I just went for it. And yeah, everyone loved that one, which I didn't know that one would be a hit or miss, but everyone loved it. And they actually turned it into like a little toy. And then Punk's look, he came in with he had the photo of Sting that he wanted me to copy, and then wanted me to do the Chicago colors. And honestly, same thing with that. Those ones, both of them, they're such like icons that it was very nerve-wracking to do their paints.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you've only had an hour to do it as well. It's like 60 minutes before, just, do this, please.
Yes, well, and the guys don't like to sit there long either. Like, you know, and I get it. I'm not one who likes to sit and like get stuff done either. But yeah, they're very much like, okay, like this is good enough. We're going to go. Where I'm like over here, like, no, I need to like fix this.
Well, exactly. Yeah, it's like your work at the end of the day, isn't it? It's like, I don't want to rush this, but 60 minutes.
Well, and they're extremely popular, and they're going to be on TV. And it's like, if it's messed up, it's like my fault. So it was nerve-wracking, but I mean, a lot of people like that look a lot. So I'm glad I got a good reviews.
Oh no, definitely turned out amazing. So you mentioned sort of briefly there that the look was sort of put on some of the toys, and obviously we note that's a few of your work has been immortalized on the action figures. So firstly, just how amazing is that? And secondly, have you bought any of the figures? Just because obviously that's your work there.
I have them like right here behind me.
Oh, nice! I didn't even know that.
Yeah, awesome. I've got my little collection of them.
That's amazing.
I'm actually oh my gosh, this one. Sorry, I'm gonna sit back down for one sec. This one is like the first Darby one. I don't know if you can see it with the trees.
Oh, yeah, the tree.
That one was my first one that got turned into an action figure, and I thought it was so cool, but it sold out so quick that I never got my hands on one. And then eventually I actually got it like in March, I think, in Florida at the pay-per-view. I had mentioned something to our merch people, and I was like, how do I get one of these? Like, I want to buy one. I can't find them anywhere. They've been out of stock, and like, I need that. And they were super sweet. They brought one into work to me and gave it to me. And then later on, the Ringside company who like markets our toys, I guess, had sent me this the next one that was made of him in the coffin.
Oh, that's cool.
That's really cool too. Like, it's got like a whole little, it's got his little like setup and stuff in here with his board and the body bag and everything.
That's
So those ones are really cool, and my son likes that one because he can actually see it outside of the plastic, because I won't take them out of the containers.
Oh, of course, yeah, collectibles.
but yeah, they're cool. Luckily, the companies have been amazing and will have actually like sent me the toys. And at Comic-Con, where they made, Like I didn't even know that they had made these guys.
Wow. Yeah.
Sting and Punk ones. I was at Comic-Con and I saw someone holding it and I was like, where did you guys get that? And they showed me the booth and I went over and the guys running the booth just gave me one. So
That's
it's
awesome.
super cool to see that stuff. But it comes out and sometimes I don't even know about it.
Yeah.
No, it must be so cool just seeing your work kind of immortalized and put in action figures, especially, ones that are so iconic that they sell out straight away, do you know what I mean? Which is cool. But you kind of touched on then, obviously, your son as well. So has he started getting into wrestling now off the back of obviously knowing that his mom is like creating some of these amazing iconic looks?
He's definitely learning about it now. Since I'm at the show every week away from home, he doesn't watch it when I'm gone, but I do go back and like show him stuff. And I'm definitely planning on taking him to a show. When we were here in Vegas, unfortunately he was sick, so he didn't get to come. But he's got some of the figures and stuff too, and he's got the little belt and everything. And so
Nice.
he's like really into it, and he loves to see all like the photos of my work on the guys and stuff. So
yeah, cool. I bet he's really proud.
Yes.
It must be great. Like you say, when you get to take him to a show, because the atmosphere is it's fantastic there, isn't it? To be fair.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I can't wait. I think he'll love it, and that's why I think it is amazing. Like I'm kind of bummed that I didn't get to grow up in wrestling because I do get like, I think a lot of adults that are into it, it's a very like nostalgic thing.
Yeah,
and people are like lifelong fans, and I totally get the draw of it, especially if you watch it as a child. It's kind of magical, and all the lights and the characters and everything. I think it's a really cool thing, and it's cool to see that people are such big fans of our show that like grew up watching WWE and like now gonna have some of our, we get to have some of their wrestlers on a new show and
yeah, absolutely
be a part of this.
It is interesting, to be fair, because like we obviously were fans growing up, and AEW just seems to have that nostalgic feel to it, even though it's a new company, which has always been really good for us. So going back to obviously some of the works you've done, and this might be a bit of a difficult question for you, but do you have a particular favorite out of all the ones you've done?
See, that is a tough one. I was thinking about that one because I know I had you guys. Honestly, as far as like the body paint and stuff goes, my favorite was I did it on Darby. It was kind of supposed to be like a X-ray skeleton type of look.
Yeah, so that was like had a bit of blue on it and stuff.
The blue. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That one was my favorite, but I think it's just because that one was so difficult for me to do because it did have so much detailing on it. So when he showed me that photo, I was like, you need to have a backup plan in case this one doesn't turn out good. So when it turned out, I was like, okay, I love this. And I loved how it looked on camera. So as far as like the body paint, that one's probably my favorite. And then on the females, I would have to say Penelope. I did her hair and makeup for the wedding.
Yeah.
And not even necessarily because of the makeup, but just being able to do like, because bridal glam was my thing and what, really got me into this industry.
Yeah.
And she always does her own makeup. So the fact that she trusted me and let me get her ready for her wedding on TV was really cool.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
and of course she's beautiful, so it was fun to do her makeup. So and she just looked gorgeous. So that was really cool.
Yeah, it's nice to have that throwback as well. It's obviously where you kind of first got put your teeth in the industry as well. But I suppose in terms of the looks you've mentioned, and obviously you're big on hair as well. So in terms of the looks, was there any a time that maybe the opposite where you kind of thought I'm not too happy with this, or you kind of hoped it went a different way to how it turned out?
See, that's honestly like, I hate to say this, and I feel like this is gonna be a disappointment to the fans, but honestly, like the Sting and CM Punk looks, I was just like very up in the air about how those looked, and then I kept kicking myself about the CM Punk look because he did show me that like I did the outline of the face like he wanted, but I got to pick where the colors went, and I kept looking back at it and being like, dang it, like I messed up on my color placement. Like I wish I would have put the red on the eyes and then out to the white rather than putting the white here, because I was like, oh. But I mean, now that I see on the toy, I love it. I think it looks super cool on the toy. But yeah, on that one, I definitely was like kicking myself. Like I should have switched where I put those colors. I didn't love that. But
Yeah.
I mean, he liked it. And so at the end of the day, that's all that matters. But
Well, that's it. I mean, you know, kind of spoken like a true artist. You're never really happy with your work, are you? But obviously it was, you know, immortalized in action figures now. So as you can see, there was clearly, you know, a lot of people that that enjoyed that look. So
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad other people enjoyed it.
So are there any looks or styles which you're currently working on? You might be able to sort of give us a scoop on here.
See, and I wish I could tell you that, but I have no idea. That's the thing. Like I've kind of told you guys, like some stuff is very like last minute and they'll come in with these looks, or it's usually pay-per-views when people plan stuff out. So, or if they've got like a big match, if they've got like a really big match coming up and it's usually like they got new gear and they want to do something really cool. But honestly, like I have nothing right now that anyone's told me like, hey, this is coming up and I want to do this.
yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, even that in itself is fascinating. That it's kind of, especially when you kind of care so much more when it's like a pay-per-view or a huge match, which is something that we were never kind of really aware of. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I think, you know, kind of touching on, you mentioned the ones that obviously you really enjoyed and ones which you wish you would have done different. What would you say has probably been the most difficult hair or makeup that you've had to work on, whether it's kind of time constraint or whether it's just, you know, what the talent wanted was difficult?
I'm like, this is I know. I'm like, she's gonna kill me for. Okay, Britt always does her red eye.
Yeah.
And I absolutely working with red is like the hardest thing for me because it's one of those things that, and she has such like a look and she wants it to be so bright that when you start blending it out, it turns pink. So it's like such a fine line of keeping it red but having it be blended out. And she, you know, that's like was her signature look forever. And so that one, whenever we had to do it, I was always like, girl, that one always just, it's not even that it's that hard, but it just definitely is way more time consuming.
Yeah.
But it looks so good. So it's like, I get why she does it. But that one always probably like my hardest look because working with reds and blues are so difficult.
Oh, wow.
So definitely like the signature Britt Baker look is the most time consuming, but it looks awesome.
Yeah, worth the effort.
Yes, for sure. She kills it.
So looking at, obviously you've done, you mentioned earlier, you've done the sort of started out in the non-wrestling world, if you will. And then you're now doing sort of this makeup for something that obviously there's a lot of physicality in the ring and it has to be very hard wearing. Is there a sort of or what is the main difference really in terms of approach when it comes to doing that sort of stage style makeup, if you will?
Okay. So honestly, there's really not a super huge difference in how I'm going to do the makeup just because it's kind of the same thing. My brides and even just being in Vegas, like my girls who are going out, they need their makeup to stay good all day long.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing of, you know, so I've got to make sure that it's going to last and look good all day. Whereas the wrestlers, some of them do have to get ready early and do pre-tapes and all this stuff and then go out to the ring and still need to look good. And so it's just a lot of like to the process. A lot of it is the same. The only difference I would say from stage makeup to bridal makeup is you are going to do it heavier. You've got to do it heavier so it shows up on the camera, especially with all the lights. I even remember when I first started doing it, I kind of was used to doing more of like a bridal glam where it was during COVID where we would pre-tape stuff. So I would be at home when one of the shows would air and I would watch it and I'd be like, dang it, like you can't even really see her makeup. I need to go heavier. So it's just a lot more, like you can definitely get away with a lot more makeup on TV because they are so far away and our show is like, you know, usually more dimmer lighting. And then with spotlights. So it's got to stand out more. So, and they do a lot more colorful looks. So definitely a lot more bold looks going on.
Yeah, definitely. It's fascinating that to be like to think to watch it back, because obviously you see it in the flesh and then you see it on TV and it's kind of like, okay, no, that's not how it kind of obviously looks in real life. So it's crazy to have to try and dial it up or down depending on that. So that I think that's fascinating. One of the questions that we asked a lot of our audience in terms of what kind of questions would people want to know, and one of the ones that we thought was just kind of interesting but also kind of funny was, have you ever had any kind of accidents in terms of like burn someone with a curling iron or like poke someone in the eye with like a mascara thing? Have you ever had anything where it's like, oh no, I can't believe I've just done this?
Nothing super bad, honestly. Some of the girls definitely will probably tell you I've poked them in the eye before with the mascara wand for sure. Because we get in there, we put huge lashes on them and start going with the eyeliner and everything. So I mean, I get in there close. So sometimes if they blink, it does get them, but I'm not gonna claim the full like responsibility for that. I'll be like, don't blink, I told you. They know better. So not too often, and luckily, no, I've never burned anyone. Like knock on wood, but
yeah,
nothing too crazy so far. There definitely has been a mascara one in the eye before, though.
Awesome,
love it.
But nothing too serious.
Nah.
Yes.
So obviously, you work as part of the AEW Glam team, and obviously, it's a talented group of people. But in terms of like the way you work with the wrestlers, and obviously you've dealt with the likes of Darby and the like before now. I mean, do you tend to find that like certain members of the team do certain wrestlers, or is it kind of a mix it up to keep things interesting for yourselves, or?
So we have 3 kind of main members of the makeup team, and then 2 other girls that kind of rotate in. And so I would say out of like the main team, we do kind of have like our people that there's a few that like usually go to certain artists, just because everyone has their own styles and stuff. So if the makeup isn't backed up, they will some people do have preferred artists they go to, and we all know that, and we're all fine with it because we get like, for example, like Darby, if he's gonna get his paint done, he usually does come to me.
Yeah.
Our other artist though has done him, and she did him before me actually, and it's just kind of whoever is more comfortable with doing whatever look that person wants.
Yeah.
And
I suppose the way you said before that yours and Darby's style kind of matches. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We mesh really well. We're like Thunder Rosa always goes to one of our other artists, Jan, because she can just pop her makeup out and get it done and like just knows what she likes and in and out of the chair and ready to go. Where me, I'm like, okay, wait, do you want this or this? And it's going to take way longer. So she goes to Jan, and Jade and Britt are kind of more specific about who they want to go to, but they also rotate. My other girl, Mirandon, who is the other main makeup artist as well. Her and I have very similar styles, so it's very interchangeable who goes to who. And then there's a bunch of girls who also aren't super specific and don't care. They just go to whoever is open.
Yeah.
So it just really depends. And it honestly, like some days it is so busy, you don't get to have a preference. You go to who is open, because we get a lot of girls going at once, and people need to be ready at certain times. And it's like, you just got to jump in with whoever, and everyone is very capable of doing whatever look anyone needs.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think as well, obviously, as the incredible kind of glam team, the one other important aspect of, me and Anthony were saying before this is like, you guys are kind of the unsung heroes, which is why we were so keen to obviously to speak with you. But another kind of aspect along with the kind of glam side of things is the kind of costume design as well. And obviously AEW were lucky enough to have the likes of Sandra, who had previously been in WWE and things like that. Like, do you work closely together with the costume team? And you mentioned obviously some of the wrestlers come to you with kind of looks prepared in advance. Do they plan the whole costume out? How do the makeup and hair and costume work together?
Yes. So I'm very close to Sandra. I love her. She was one of my like first friends I made at the company. And yeah, we do have to work very close together, because of course you want the makeup to go with whatever they're wearing, or it looks a mess. So, and luckily they actually usually set up, when we're backstage, wardrobe is usually right next to hair and makeup.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Which works out nicely. And I don't necessarily collab with Sandra or anything on it, but I will, like, if she's making something, I'll pop over and be like, hey, like, say someone's wearing blue or whatever. I'll be like, hey, I know they got new gear. Can you show it to me?
Yeah.
So I what you got going on so I can figure out what I'm gonna do. And then even sometimes it's worked out that, you know, if someone wants some like chain or like something crazy in their hair, I pop over to wardrobe and they figure out something for me and have stuff that I can use that was maybe used on the outfit to like throw into their look.
Nice.
But yeah, so yeah, we definitely work together in that sense of trying to, you know, make everything flow and looks go together. And like I said, most of the time when people do get new gear, they usually kind of have a look that they want to go with it. I know in wrestling, especially, I feel like stuff is, we make it very matchy. You know, if they're wearing blue, we're usually gonna do blue.
Yeah.
And wearing pink, we're gonna do a pink look. Where in everyday life, I wouldn't necessarily do that with my clients, but with wrestling, I think, especially, you know, like for the stage makeup, it just kind of all goes together to kind of do it up big and dramatic and make it really like pop with the outfit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So obviously we follow you on social media. One of the ones we follow you on is actually TikTok. Now we noticed you posted a video including Chris Jericho. So one of the questions we wanted to ask was sort of who, like, do you find a lot of the wrestlers are sort of quite sort of fun backstage and would want to participate in that sort of thing? Or so how do you find that the sort of social media elements of it, or the TikTok trends and the like?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I they are all very friendly, and I think that is kind of like, that is one of the pros that definitely comes with me not knowing wrestling before I got here, because I think I would fangirl out way too much if I actually knew how like big of a deal all these people were before. So yeah, everyone is very, very friendly. I mean, yeah, Chris Jericho is super nice, and as well as everyone else. It's a very friendly environment, and everyone gets along really well. And honestly, everyone's very, very nice. You know, you're walking in the hall and everyone says hello, or you know, we all sit and eat together, and it's a very nice environment. It's a great work environment and easy to get along with everyone, and they're all very down to earth. Yeah. So
it's good to know, especially like someone like Chris Jericho, who's obviously is a rock star as well as a wrestler. So it's nice to know that he's still quite down to earth as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just kind of touch on like the backstage kind of side of things. So obviously you've already kind of mentioned around how like the makeup and the costume are quite close together, and it's you know, there's everyone's kind of have a lot of fun. It's like that really comes across in what we've seen. Like we've seen backstage snippets in AEW and it just looks like so much fun. So it's just kind of, any more thoughts on like what the backstage environment's like, and you know, do you guys really get to actually enjoy it and participate in it a lot, or are you just so rushed off your feet to get all the makeup's done?
It honestly depends. Like makeup, we are very, very busy, but honestly, I also feel like because everyone kind of needs something from our area, it's kind of like a social area too. A lot of people hang out in the makeup area, and sometimes we, depending on what location we're in and how like big our room is, we'll have to be like, okay guys, get out. Like we love you guys, but everyone get out. This is the party room today. We're trying to get stuff done. But yeah, I mean, everyone kind of comes in and we get to see everyone, and a lot of people want to come and hang out in there, you know, because we are all just like vibing and having fun. And so it is a very like laid back, fun environment. It does get really busy in there, so those days we definitely kick people out. But everyone, especially even the guys, they're all coming back for their oil, or everyone knows we have gum, so everyone always comes to us for gum. So yeah, it's a good environment.
That's awesome.
And I feel like we're kind of right in the middle of it.
Yeah. Amazing. So obviously AEW is now back on the road. Hopefully we've seen the back of the pandemic now. So the travel's become a bit more frequent for the company. So how do you find the sort of travel? Have you been able to sort of see a lot more places, and do you have any particular favorite places you've traveled with the company?
Yeah, we are definitely like on the East Coast a lot. So we're over there a ton, and we're kind of have been making our way over. Like we did the Midwest and then a little bit of West Coast, which I'm obviously because I'm on the West Coast. I would love if we got out here more. So it was fun to do the Vegas and LA shows. But as far as like going and visiting places, I'm a country girl, so I love when we got to go to Nashville, and that was a ton of fun. Like it's always fun to go to places where it's easy to go out and see stuff. Yeah. Because our travel is so quick. You know, we usually get in Tuesdays, and I always get in late because I'm traveling from the West Coast.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you're in the stadium all day long. So honestly, a lot of the trips kind of blur together of like half the time we're like, where are we? We can't even remember what city we're in because you're just inside of a stadium all day.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I can understand that.
So, it's always cool being in places where we get to be like right downtown and we can do a little bit of sightseeing. San Antonio is really cool too. That one, we got to be right downtown and go do like the river walk and stuff like that. So I feel like those trips where I get to see a little bit of the culture and everything while we're there are usually my favorite places. So those have been cool, but we've gotten lots of places and there's cool stuff. So it just depends if we're too tired to get out or not.
No, of course.
Yeah, I can imagine. So one question. Oh, go on, sorry.
Oh no, that's it. You're good.
All right. I was going to say, obviously, we're from the UK. So, have you ever had the chance to come over, you know, across the pond? And could we potentially see AEW over here soon? And if we do, is that something that you'd come along to?
So I've never got to go over there yet. So hopefully soon. And as far as the company going there, I don't know of any set dates or anything like that. But I definitely have heard like. I know that our company, we definitely want to get over there. And I know that kind of area is one of our like first places we want to make it to. But of course, I have no control over that or anything. No, and course, yeah. I'm definitely not the first to hear about any of it either. So you guys probably will know when I know. But I know that it's something that I've definitely heard in the company like being talked about that we do for sure want to make it over to the UK. And I've heard that like hopefully in this like upcoming year and stuff, we should be doing international stuff. So
yeah,
but I have no clue, and hopefully that all gets to happen because I know that it's definitely something that the company wants to do.
So. Yeah, I mean, well, Tony's obviously got a connection with the UK Fulham as well. Yeah, with Fulham.
Yeah, yes, it's been really hard, and I think that's a lot of kind of why we're not on West Coast as much too. You know, with all the travel restrictions and
there's
policies for everywhere that it makes it harder to do shows. So I think that kind of is why we're more on the East Coast more. But hopefully we'll be over there in the next year.
Yeah,
and I would definitely be there.
Awesome. So, you know, speaking of the future of AEW, the sort of one of the last questions for me would be sort of if we could ask sort of what your future goals are, either with AEW or for your career as a whole.
Honestly, just that's hard because I'm in such a good place. It's kind of hard to.
I can understand.
I don't know where to go from here. Just I hope our company keeps growing and eventually our makeup will get bigger and you know hopefully get into be one of the lead artists over a bigger crew would be really cool and hopefully we just keep growing and get to be the top people in that. But honestly, just my goals for myself are just improving my work constantly. Like I said, I'm self-taught and honestly I didn't really do body paint until Darby. So just trying to learn stuff and have it look more realistic and, stuff like that. I'm just goals like that, having my work just constantly get better. And, even for the girls too, just always working on my skill and making sure that I'm the best that I can be at it.
Absolutely. I still think that's crazy, by the way, that you're self-taught. It's just blown my mind. So I suppose one of the final questions, what advice would you have for any kind of aspiring hair and makeup artists?
Yeah, I get a lot of people messaging me that and about how to get this company. Honestly, social media. I think social media is huge. And not even I didn't have a lot of followers when Brandy messaged me, and I still don't really have a lot. I think I had a couple thousand when she messaged me, and there's a ton of amazing makeup artists in Las Vegas. I think a lot of it is just social media nowadays is just a really great way to get your work out there and get your name and everything. And just even like TikTok, Instagram, I just think, you just need one thing to go viral. Just one thing, one person, it just can change your life. you know, I got that one message from Brandy, and then here I am in this company now, you know, and so it's just, I think just keep doing your work, post it, and try to get it out there as much as possible, and just keep working on your skill, and, you know, the good things will come. Yeah. I truly believe that. And, you know, like I said, it just takes one thing. So I just think, you know, no matter how many, even if you have 10 followers, keep posting stuff, keep doing stuff that's going to get your stuff out there. And honestly, I'm not 100% sure what got Brandy to my page, but I tried really hard to work on, like, I started doing like little like series I tried to do, like for Halloween. Like I would do multiple looks and then try to post those and just tag stuff to where it would like bring people to my page and try to find my niche. And so yeah, I just honestly think like social media and then word of mouth too, you know, like if you want to be a freelancer or whatever, start doing it, work for an agency, and word of mouth gets around. Even being here in Vegas, I would do brides I got a lot of brides from the UK actually, and I'd get brides from all over because this is such a destination place.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
They'd go home and tell their friends, and then I'd have people from the UK coming in messaging me, hey, my friend was just out there, or my friend was out there a year ago. And just word of mouth was keeping me busy all over the world. You know, it's you never know who, you know, who is gonna be, you know, someone that's gonna help you out in some way.
Yeah.
So, you know, just
amazing.
Fantastic advice.
Yeah, just make it like part of your life and just keep going at it. And, you know, I just think it will happen.
Love it.
So I think that about wraps things up for us. So lastly, what we just like to do is if you could sort of tell our viewers and our listeners sort of how they can keep up to date with your good self in terms of social media, where they can find you.
Yeah, I would recommend going to my Instagram. My TikTok is kind of all over the place. So if you guys want to follow there too, that's great. You can go to my TikTok. It's Danielle Dinino, Dinino. And then there's my Instagram that's dolled up by Dan. And yeah, I post a lot of wrestling stuff. I post stuff of my own as well. But yeah, I would love the support. And if you guys want to see my looks, I definitely keep you posted. And you could see all my looks, especially up close, you know, because sometimes you don't get to see it on TV that close. That people look at my page and kind of, hey, can you send me this photo so I can see a more detailed look? So if you want like up close looks of stuff, they're on my page.
Awesome.
Well, yeah, just thank you again so much. Like, we genuinely appreciate it, and absolutely fascinating just to hear about how you got into the industry, and just, again, mind's still blown the fact you're self-taught and how you know, amazing the looks that you've been able to produce. So thank you very much, and we genuinely appreciate it.
Thank you so much, guys.
Hey everybody, this is Thunder Rosa, and you're watching or listening A to the K. A to the K. A to the K. A to the K.